So, you've now been practicing mean, median, mode, and you've got to a really good stage where you can apply them accurately, as well as understand the shortcomings of those from parts 1 to 4. So now, let's consider the following. Four pieces of data have a mean of 5. What are they? So this situation is about trying to work the mean backwards. The mean is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. So how do I work it backwards? Well, first off, let's put the information in that we have. So the mean is 5. Substitute that into the formula. Do we know the sum of the values? No, we don't. Do we know the number of values? Yes, we do. Anytime you have a formula with 3 things in it, if you know 2 of them, you can work out the third. So, the sum of the values, when you divide it by 4, you get 5. So let's multiply this by 4 and find out what the sum of the values actually is. It's 20. For those of you who've watched the algebra videos, what we did there was multiplied both sides of the equation by 4. So what we've just discovered is that these 4 pieces of data add up to 20. So what you're now thinking is 4 numbers that add up to 20. That sounds really easy. And it is. And they can be any numbers you want, because we've only got this one criteria to play with. So for example, 20, 0, 0, 0, tick. That's a correct set. There's another really obvious set. Can you think of the other most obvious set? So, if you said 5, 5, 5, 5, well done. And you can have any other set of numbers. So let's be creative. Minus 10, minus 20, 30. So far that adds up to 0, and then put a 20 on the end. So a one-stage problem, or a one-rule problem, nice and straightforward for us to flex around. Let's just clarify this rule though as how we came up with the sum of the values by doing a couple more simple examples. So if I had 5 pieces of information and the mean is 6. So the mean is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. So that's 6 is equal to the sum of the values divided by 5. So it's divided by 5, so I'm going to multiply by 5 and get 30. One more. I've got 10 pieces of data and I've got a mean of 3. Can you use that to find the sum of the values? Well, some of you have already got this. The mean is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. So 3 is something divided by 10. So we multiply by 10 and the sum of the numbers is 30. And from there, you use that to try and work out a set of numbers that works. So, when you have just one criteria, we're probably feeling okay now. Let's see if we can build up and use 2. So, six numbers have a mean of 10 and a median of 8. Now, 2 criteria have now been introduced. So it may not be any combination we can think of. So first off, let's try and use the mean to work something out. That's the sum of the values divided by the number of values. And you can see I'm using this shorthand still. So that's 10 equals the sum of the values divided by 6, the number of values. So it's divided by 6, so I'm going to multiply by 6. Remember to go back and watch the solving equations if you feel you need some practice. So, my 6 numbers add up to 60. But I can't just write down any old numbers. If I wrote 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, like previously with the 5s, what's my median going to be? That's right, it's going to be 10, and I want it to be 8. So the middle of my numbers is 8. So some of my numbers are going to have to go down. If they go down, will the sum still be 60? No. So some of my numbers might have to go up. Pause the video now, take a minute and come up with some sets of numbers for yourself. So, I'm going to do the following. I want the middle of these 2 values to be 8. So I'm going to put 9 here and 7 here. Now I need 2 values either side. Well, so far my numbers add up to 16. So I'm going to put 5 here and a 5 here. So it's now 26. So these 2 numbers are going to have to make it total 60. So take my 26 off. I need them to add up to 34. So what about 14 and 20? Now some of you will have wanted to go 8 and 8 in the middle, and that's good too. Fundamentally, once you've got a pair here you're happy with, that gives you a median of 8, as long as you're making it total 60, you can do whatever you want. So let's have a look at another one. I've got 5 numbers now, with a mean of 8, a median of 6, and a mode of 4. So, let's go through the process and see what happens now. Pause the video and have a go yourself before we try it together. So, first off, what do my numbers add up to make? So the sum of the values divided by 5 is 8. So they add up to 40. So I multiplied by 5 to cancel out the divide by 5. The middle of my numbers is a 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got to be a 6. The mode has got to be 4. So if I've got, that means I've got to have more 4s than anything else. Well, let's stick a pair of them on the end there. Eight, 14 is my total so far, out of 40. So let's find out what's left. 26. So as long as I can put two numbers here that total 26, I'm away. Now if I tried to put a 6 here, what would happen? Well, that would make the mode 4 and 6, so I'd fail here. So I'm going to put 10. And I need 26, so I'm going to put 16 here. So what you can see now is working the mean backwards first to get your total, and then using your other two rules to work out what position's where. You'll need to practice some of these, and they do get harder than this. But this is a starting point for you, and hopefully you can progress.